Hey, how many times you sit down to create some glorious artwork and then, oh God, it's happening again. Your energy level just took a total nosedive. Your motivation, it's completely flatlined. But you're supposed to be creating amazing things. But all you want to do is snuggle up in bed. But what are you supposed to do about it? Can you even do anything about it? Welcome to the Art Mentor. My name is Sean, and look, I used to struggle with this just like you do until I created this system. So follow this step-by-step process to kick Mr. Sandman to the curb so that you can get back to creating by doing this. Now, the first thing that you have to do, y'all, is that you cannot treat art, your time making it, like it is just some type of flippant luxury, like it's something that you can do just when you feel like it, like you are going to put parameters around, I will only do it upon this type of circumstances or when things are optimal. What you need to do is you need to treat it as sacred time. Whatever time that you say that you are actually going to do something, you need to treat it like it is completely uninterruptible. How many times have you ever said to your kids that, no, you're too tired to feed them? How many times have you ever said to your boss, no, you're too tired to come into work today? How many times have you ever said to your dog, no, Rover, I'm too tired to take you outside today? But we'll go ahead and we'll do that with our artwork, won't we? The key word here, y'all, is priority, because if you don't treat your artwork like it is a priority to you in your life, and that is meaningful to you, and then if you don't do it, then it is not going to fulfill you, then it's never going to either. You see how that works? Now, the first step to you actually getting stuff done, regardless of how you're feeling, whether you're optimal or suboptimal, is I want you to go ahead and I want you to mark that on your calendar. If you go ahead and you do this, this can be a big physical calendar. If you're gonna go that route, go ahead and put it someplace really big and obvious, someplace that you can't escape it. If you're gonna do this digitally, okay, go ahead and put it on like a Google Calendar. As soon as you swipe up, boom, it's right there on your homepage and you can't avoid it. The other thing that you might wanna do too is invest into another app that will help you remind you. Like I personally use this app called Habit, but this is what personally helps me ensure that I'm creating artwork 5 to 6 times per week, and I schedule it. Now you'll go ahead and you'll do this for other things, won't you? You'll schedule your doctor's appointments, you'll schedule your meetings. Do the same thing with your art, because if you're just treating it as a like, well, you know, if I get time with it, generally you probably won't, will you? Are you struggling with that? Or do you do this already? You'll set alarms to wake up for work, you'll set alarms to wake up for school, you'll set alarms for other important things. So do the same thing with your art. Now look, you can do this on your phone very easily. You might even want to set 2 or 3 just to make sure that you don't slack off on it. Now listen, here's another thing. If you really want to take another road to this to make this even more literally alarming, is go ahead and get yourself a physical alarm clock. It can just be a regular digital one, you know, those really annoying alarms, right? Or if you really want to go for this, go ahead and go one of those old mechanical ones, the ones with like the little bell and ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Go ahead and do that and just put that somewhere like wherever you would normally hang out. Instead of making your artwork, instead of working on your craft and stuff, go ahead and put them right there so that there's no chance that you will ever forget about it. And when I say set those alarms, like do it the night before. If you're doing it on your phone, you can literally do it for the entire week. But you've got that sacred art time. You need that physical reminder, that auditory reminder that yes, it is time to go. It is my sacred art time. Now, once the alarm clock goes off, here's what you want to do too, is that you want to remove any types of barriers between you and the action that take place. Because the number one thing that you're going to struggle with, and I know how this is because I've been there and I still continue to be there sometimes, is you creating momentum, like just you going and getting to do the thing that you're supposed to be doing or the area that you want to work on or that thing that you know you're supposed to do but you can't. You know what I'm talking about, right? Instead of you slacking off or putting that off, you need to remove friction. Prepare that space the day before as much as possible. So if you're working digitally, what does this look like? So the day before, make sure that your area is nice and neat and clean. Make sure you don't have a bunch of trash out. Make sure that your desk is prepared for you, okay? You can plug in your tablet and plug it into your computer and everything. Maybe you get home from work, and if you're not gonna be making your artwork, if you're not gonna be working on your stuff for a couple hours, when you get home from work, go ahead, boom, turn that on. Oftentimes me, like I bring some of my stuff to work. So what I'll do when I get home is I'll immediately get home and I'll plug in all my tablets and I'll put my computer in place so that literally all I have to do is I just walk down, log in, and I'm ready to roll. If you're a physical artist too, what can you do with that? Make sure all your tools are prepped. Make sure everything's clean too. Like the last thing y'all wanna do is be painting with nasty, dirty, crusty brushes, because then you're gonna look at that crusty brush that's just caked up with a whole bunch of stuff and you're gonna be like, ugh, I don't wanna clean this. I'll put it off till tomorrow. So if you remove the friction from you actually starting the task, then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna be more enabled to actually lean into it. So what are some things that you like to do? Because these are things that I like to do, but I'd really like to know what's helping you out on this step. So when it comes time to what you're actually supposed to be doing, when you're actually supposed to be creating artwork, what are you usually doing? What prompts you to lean into that excuse of, I'm too tired to make art, I'm too tired to practice or do this or that? What are you doing? Are you playing video games? Are you watching TV? Do you just sit down on the couch and you just melt into that beautiful thing and you just doze off, right? So what do you do about that? Some of y'all are not gonna like this, but I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna love it once you actually start it, which is that you need to remove your distractions. And now listen, I'm not just saying like, just tell yourself, I'm literally saying like, let's take these steps. So for example, if you are sitting down and you're watching Netflix or you're sitting down and watching TV, unplug the TV. Go hide the remote somewhere where you have to walk all the way across your home in order to get it. If you're playing video games, okay, cool. Hide your controller. Take the cord out of your PS5 and go ahead and put it somewhere else so that you now have the obstacle of, oh, I gotta go get that and then I gotta go plug it in. Or if you just sit down on the couch or you just snuggle up in your bed right there and you just sink into those pillows, okay, remove the pillows, go put them in the closet or put them someplace in the attic. Like put them someplace where you're literally gonna sit down and be like, well, I guess I can't do that. The biggest thing is that what you wanna do is you wanna make art seem like it is not the convenience, but you avoiding the task is the inconvenience. If you can master this, if you can actually do this, it will be so game changing for you, especially too, if you have to hide that in the place like where you actually make art. Like imagine if you came home and you wanted to play video games and you're like, oh, I gotta go get my controller if I actually wanna do this. And then you put it in your office or your space or your desk drawer where you're actually creating your artwork on. And then once you stumble into that space, you're gonna happen upon your sacred art making temple and you're gonna be like, oh, now I feel guilty, now I feel bad. And that's great because then it reduces the chance that you're gonna slack off. Now, the next major tip that most artists don't remember to do is to like and subscribe to this channel, y'all, because I love to bring you helpful and informative content just like this to help you level up your game and craft. So if you can give me some love back, then I will continue to push out stuff like this too. And now y'all are ready for this one. All right, so I wanna go ahead and I wanna make a little prediction for you and tell me if this is you down below. Are you more apt to let yourself down than to let down somebody else? If so, one of the things I definitely recommend that you do at this step now is regardless, you should enlist an accountability partner. This is somebody who's going to provide help, assistance, who's gonna also help to remind you so that when you're sitting next to them, if this is like your spouse or your bae or whoever you're sitting with, and that alarm goes off, boom, they're gonna be like looking at you going, hey, you're supposed to be creating artwork right now. What are you doing still sitting here? Get your butt up and go for it, okay? So this could be somebody too, by the way, that is very loving and genuinely supportive and they just want the best for you. Or doesn't have to be like that too. What can you do in that case? Y'all have, and I'm just gonna say every friend group has this person. Y'all have a really annoying friend. Like, who's your annoying friend? Go ahead and get them on board with it too. And you're gonna be like, all right, Tyler, I don't know if you have a Tyler, but that just seems like the name of somebody that could potentially just be really obnoxious in grading, right? So you having some type of accountability partner, you having some type of support network to reinforce what you're supposed to be doing is really gonna level it up. My wife, for me, is amazingly supportive, and we have definite times of the day where it's like, okay, Sean, I know it's your time to go ahead and do what you got to do, then you go ahead and do it. So get somebody on your side that's gonna be like that, your mom, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your friend group, or annoying Tyler. Who's it gonna be for you? So I just presented y'all with a carrot, but here comes the stick, because you can't just be all rewards here. This isn't poppy training here. So what you need to do too at this point is you gotta create some consequences for when you don't do it. So how does this look? Basically, I want you to think about your accountability partner, and let's say that you're alone, do the same thing, up the stakes for what is gonna happen when you don't do it. Like, I was literally talking to one of my mentees about this, and I asked them, hey, what is your least favorite chore that you like to do around the house? And they were like, oh, I hate to do the dishes. I was like, good. So every single time that alarm goes off and you don't get your butt up and go and do your artwork for whatever period of time that you want, you're gonna have to do the dishes that night. And then guess what? Your wife's gonna be over there like, yay, at least I got something done, even if he's not doing what he's supposed to. And then guess what? Now you're gonna have a condition for you to remember to do it. What else can this look like? Let's take annoying Tyler, for instance, right? Let's say that you tell Tyler, hey man, if I don't send you a picture of me working on my artwork 4 times this week, for an hour, then I owe you $20 at the end of the week. Guess what? He's gonna follow up with you, right? Because he wants that money. He wants that 20 bucks. So you make sure that you follow through on you. Now let's say it's you too. Okay, so if I don't do my artwork, then I gotta put away my video game controller for 2 days because I need to get back on track with that. Create those rewards and consequences because y'all, if you actually restrict yourself in this type of way, then you are going to condition yourself behaviorally to make sure that you get done what you need to get done when you need to get it done. So let's say that that all happens and you got everything in the world that's supporting you, but you're just feeling too tired still. Mr. Sandman is just scratching on the back of your neck telling you, go to sleep, go to sleep. So what do you do to that? Let me just ask you this. Have you ever seen a marathon runner just completely face plant and just go to sleep? Have you ever seen anybody in the Olympics? Maybe they're doing a pole vault or something and they just fall over and nod off, right? Definitely not. Have you ever seen anybody in the gym lifting really heavy weights and they just knock out and go to sleep? Of course not. So here's what I recommend for you, Fred. Go ahead and just do some light exercises before you start. The biggest issue is that most of us, when we're in that state of feeling really tired, we are just arrested by that sense of inactivity. And the thing that I want you to know, the thing I want you to remember now and forever, is that inactivity only breeds inactivity. Motion creates more motion. So what you want to do is put yourself into a state of motion, and that will spur you into actually doing what you need to do energetically. So what can you do really easy, y'all? Go ahead, get down and do 50 push-ups before you're going to draw, paint, sculpt, whatever you're going to do. Go ahead and just knock out some basic squats or do some really simple ab exercises. Or you can go ahead and plug into a YouTube channel, maybe do like 5 minutes of yoga when you're just feeling so arrested by that sensation that you're just too tired to do art. Instead of leaning into that, lean into what you can do to get your body pumping, because I guarantee you this, y'all, once you get that blood pumping, you'll immediately feel like, boom, I can accomplish more, I can do more, and you'll feel more spurred on to actually do what you need to do. Try it out. Reinforcing everything that you're doing now is going to be really critical to your sustained success and your ability to actually make this a sustainable process. So what you can do is definitely give yourself a dopamine reward system. So give yourself some type of little reward, either throughout the process or after the process, for your continued efforts. So let's say, for example, that your goal is that 4 times a week, you're gonna sit down for 2 hours, okay? So what can you do? You can go ahead and, hey, do you like chocolate? Go ahead and grab a bag of M&Ms or your favorite candy. And yeah, every half hour, you get to have a few pieces of M&M, or you just take a bite of that Kit Kat. I'm not giving anybody here permission to just like completely overload on chocolate, but just one little bit at a time throughout. You can do this at the end too. Let's say that you only have like 30 minutes that you can do per day throughout the week, okay? At the end of those 30 minutes, boom, go ahead and give yourself a little reward, give yourself a little snackety snack. So like for me personally, I'm a big Diet Coke drinker. If you are, tell me about it down below. But like, that's really my jam. I have one right over here for right after I record this. I'm gonna give myself that dopamine reward for this process right here. Give yourself some type of reinforcement reward for when you actually do the task. You can do it after, you can do it throughout, just space it out in between. But don't take a long break with it either. Like it should literally just be like a very quick reward, okay? And on that note too, what do you like to reward yourself with? One of the most essential components of making this work, of making it work a long time, and you transforming yourself into the artist that you actually want to be, y'all, is that you have to intrinsically, like from a very deep down place, want it. I've seen so many people who will just fall in love with all of their excuses, and you have to deny that. I want you to look forward to it. I don't want you to be the person who comes home and they're just dreading that time. I don't want you to be on the subway home. I don't want you to be in the car. I don't want you to be thinking about it at work and going, oh, I gotta make artwork today. Here's one thing that you absolutely need to know, friend, is that your perspective equals your product, and how you're gonna attack that too. So if you are sitting around dreading it, if you're not excited about it, if you can instead evolve that into, man, I'm so excited to go ahead and make art today. I'm so excited to work on that piece again. I'm so excited to make a little bit of progress. Even though it might not be 100% where I want it to be by the end of my session, I'm still making progress towards it. That is gonna put you light years ahead of everybody that just comes home and makes excuses, which you're not gonna do now, are you? So one of the biggest things that you also wanna do here is that you have to change your verbiage a little bit. One thing that I see a lot of people say is that they'll say things like, I have to create art, or I have to practice, or I have to do my study. Remove that entirely, because that's when I ask you this, like, how does that energetically make you feel? Like when you say that you have to do something, like, oh, I have to get a colonoscopy, or like, oh, I have to go visit my aunt. How does that make you feel? Like, it feels immediately like you're just overwhelmed with resistance, doesn't it? So instead, remove that, stop saying that. Instead, adopt the mindset of, I get to go home and work on this. I get to go ahead and I get to make progress. I get to go ahead and evolve my skills and my practices and everything that I'm doing here. When you treat it like it is an awesome privilege to be able to do it, you're gonna energetically bring that into your work and you're gonna feel better about it, and boom, another little dopamine reward. Try it out. Okay, now can I get hard with you for a second here? Because none of this is gonna work whatsoever if you do not address the fact that inevitably things will come up. Like, how many times have you said something to the effect of like, well, I'd really like to, but this happened? Or how many times you've been like, oh man, well, these circumstances, they were just so overwhelming. I've talked to so many people that have said this, and the thing that I always notice is like the absolute passion that they have for their excuses. The thing that you have to understand, y'all, is that you must completely annihilate all your micro excuses, because here's a reality of life. Here's just a little pearl of wisdom, is that every single time that you are making great progress towards any means, towards any goal whatsoever, y'all, life is going to challenge you, and it's gonna be there instead not to put you down, not to make you feel hopeless, but it's gonna test your mettle, and these things are gonna come up, and life is gonna go ahead as soon as you're up high, boom, it's gonna punch you down for a second and be like, what's up, Sean? How much do you really want this? And you gotta look back and say like, I really want this, and nothing is going to stop me from getting there. And if you instead stop putting all of that energy into those excuses, and instead you channel that into what you're actually supposed to do, and you redirect all of that passion for what is actually gonna bring you to a new level, then that is what's gonna bring you there. Don't fall into your excuses. Don't fall in love with them either. Instead, fall in love with your potential. Throughout some point in your week, you know, like maybe it's Thursday, maybe it's Wednesday, figure out what day of the week you're typically most tired. Like for me personally, like Thursday is a day that I'm generally a little tired. Like Monday through Wednesday, I'm like really cranking it out, doing a lot of things, kind of beginning the work week and all that, right? So if this is you, here's something that I personally implemented. Try it out and tell me what you think of it. But I call this sleep doping, okay? And this is basically where I'm gonna pick one night every single week where I'm gonna go to bed 2 to 3 hours earlier. But don't do that every single day now. Do it at least one day a week, and you will feel so much more revitalized and energized, because if it actually is a physical thing, then this is one way that you can overcome it. But I'm just gonna be honest, if you're physically tired 7 days a week, you gotta take a good look at what it actually is that's causing you to feel that way. Because more than likely, it's not anything physical, it's actually something socially, emotionally challenging you, and that is the root of the issue, and it's got nothing to do with your artwork. So y'all, don't let your art be a victim of your current circumstances. Let you be the victor for your artwork over your circumstances. Now a critical question comes up. How much time do you need to be an artist? What type of schedule looks good? How do you manage your time? And what do you need to do? Little steps, baby steps, in order to maximize that time. Well, friend, I got you on that. There's a whole video for you right here where I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know to start to go pro, and you're gonna learn about it right there. See you next time.